Hey guys, it's your pal Victor here, and we just watched the first episode of Book of Boba Fett, and it's really exciting, and I actually dug it a lot, so stay tuned for my thoughts right now. So yeah, I'm actually really psyched about Book of Boba Fett. It is its own thing, separate from The Mandalorian. It's got what if Boba Fett was the Godfather in space? That's pretty much the premise of this show. And the way they illustrate it is kind of pretty interesting. So, when we last left Boba Fett, he had killed Bib Fortuna, who was the daimyo of Mos Espa after Princess Leia killed Jabba the Hutt at the end of Return of the Jedi. And now Boba Fett is the daimyo, and we're seeing him grow in his, he has a unique flavor on how he wants to be the new crime lord in Mos Espa. He wants to be respected, not feared, and we see various other crime figures pay him tribute in his throne room. But we learn that the mayor of Mos Espa is actually pretty corrupt himself. He sends his major domo to demand a bribe and refuses to pay tribute to Boba Fett. And later on, ambushes him, Sonny Corleone style, in the middle of the city after he picks up his tribute from the cantina. The cantina from Star Wars. There's, a lot of your favorite Star Wars background characters are in this episode, so you should totally check it out. We've got Ming-Na Wen's Fennec, who's being a badass in this episode, so much parkour. But the thing that we really get to see is, sort of like The Godfather Part 2, we learn how Boba Fett came to be after his supposed death at Return of the Jedi, and we get a scene that is played out in so much fan fiction as Boba Fett rejuvenates himself in the Bacta tank at Jabba's palace. We see him magically bust out of the Sarlacc covered in acid, and is it as epic as some fanfics have made it out to be? Actually, it's pretty darn epic. Actually, kind of sounds a lot like Patton Oswalt's monologue of how Boba Fett escaped the Sarlacc pit in Parks and Recreation, which was shockingly, we get that exactly. This episode was directed by Robert Rodriguez. I'm sure Patton Oswalt probably let out a nerd yelp. But we also get some fun guest stars in this episode. As Boba mopes that he doesn't have a protocol droid, he has a regular droid introduce all his visitors with a surly voice. The droid is voiced by Matt Berry, who you probably know from What We Do in the Shadows. Bat! That guy? Yeah, he's in this. He's awesome. It's a little voice cameo, but it's great. Sort of how they got Taika Waititi on The Mandalorian. Probably, in that same flavor. But, basically we also, in these flashbacks, we learn that, the Jawas stole Boba's armor after he freed himself from the acid-filled Sarlacc pit. He's covered in burns. And we get how the Tusken Raiders took him in as a slave, but he learns to earn their trust. Overall, it's a really good episode. It's very much an anti-hero show. I know that Mandalorian is kind of that way too, but it's pretty obvious that the Mandalorian is more of a straight up hero. This is more of a shades of gray, like a Punisher, if you will. Boba Fett doesn't view himself as a villain, but he's also not a hero, and the show kind of straddles that kind of noble savage thing in between. So if you're looking for something unique in that Star Wars universe, directed by Robert Rodriguez, produced by Jon Favreau, check out Book of Boba Fett. It's actually pretty awesome. I'm digging it a lot. So if you're interested in more reviews like this, check us out at Cult Following, Cult Classics right here on YouTube. See ya.